You could call it poetic justice. If you read the history books, you may describe the following events as the greatest irony since some wide-eyed alchemists thought gunpowder could be an elixir for immortality. But notwithstanding a knowledge of history, the bold, ballsy move by Mercedes Benz changed the face of sports car racing forever. In the story of every hero, there comes a time when they are faced with a decision that would impact the course of fate over the coming years. Depending on your perspective, Mercedes Benz may not be the hero of this story. But the facts remain that in the year 1996, Mercedes Benz decided to commit what some may see as a criminal act against their racing competitors. They had been consistently playing the underdog to a racing team led by one of the greatest minds of the 90s. Every effort to topple the reigning champions proved to be an exercise in frustration. In an act of desperation or perhaps madness fueled by personal pride, the management of Mercedes-Benz gave their AMG engineers an impossible task: build a car that can topple the BPR Global GT champion. And they had just 4 months to do it. 4 months to topple a racing dynasty that had been years in the making. To successfully complete the mission, this crazy team of engineers had to do the impossible. They had to create the CLK GTR. The year is 1993. And the World Sports Car Championship had just died a somewhat unnatural death. Big car manufacturers like Peugeot and Mercedes were abandoning the racing events, citing stratospheric manufacturing costs, which were unsurprisingly caused by the new rules. The mass exodus by the big boys, in essence, crashed the party for everyone. If the big guns could not afford to race, the smaller teams stood no chance at all. The season was canceled before the first race ever happened. But some months later in 1994, a former German race car driver and a group of his crazy car friends came together to form the BPR Global GT series. In its humble beginning, you could find only a couple of Venturi's racing cars, Porsches, and the occasional Callaway Corvette. But as the races gained widespread attention and fandom, everyone wanted to become a part of BPR Global. It was not much of a surprise when Jaguar, Ferrari, and McLaren came rushing back with their intimidating top-tier performance cars. Notable among the top competitors at the time was the Mclaren F1 GTR, a V12 monster powered by 600 horses. It breathed 6-foot-long fire gusts from its exhaust at will like a road-raging demon sent to torment other drivers hoping to win. Also on scene was the Ferrari F40 GTE, a relatively lightweight twin-turbo supercar with a top speed of nearly 350 km/h. Then there was the Jaguar XJ220, a 6.2-liter V12 with an all-wheel drive transmission. Of course, the list would be incomplete without mentioning the sleek and graceful Porsche 911 GT2, a magnificent German machine with giant spoilers mounted on the back for better aerodynamics. The engine of the 911 GT2 was air-cooled, carefully tuned in line with the new homologation rules. With this car lineup, it did not take long for the smaller brands to be pushed completely out of the races. The BPR Global GT series then became a full-blown war between the biggest names in the industry. As expected, the return of the big brands to the racing scene drew the attention and interest of the FIA, who took over the management of the BPR series, ostensibly to keep everyone organized, but more likely because they liked to throw their weight around. The race for gold would have been a fair chance for every team to taste glory. Well, except for some very big problems. To understand this better, we need to rewind a little. About 20 years before the start of the World Sports Cars Championship, an ex-Formula 3 racer who also happened to be a savvy businessman purchased a title-winning racing team, the Brabham Grand Prix team. During the years from 1966 to 1971, the Brabham Grand Prix team had collared a few Formula 1 world titles, faring better than their competitors.
Jack went on to win the last race of the series down under at Longford, Tasmania in record time.
But for the new owner, Bernard Charles Ecclestone, that wasn't good enough. He wanted to make a name for himself and spread the word around that there was a new sheriff in town. To do this, he needed to beef up his team. So he invited Gordon Murray, a car-designing super genius. Within a year, one of Murray's first cars, the BT-44, clinched victory at the races. It did so 3 times. But the engineering and design feats of Gordon Murray didn't stop there. He went on to create the first race car to have a carbon braking system, a concept being used by virtually all racing cars till today. He also developed a hydro-pneumatic suspension system designed to keep the F1 cars low as soon as the natural aerodynamic forces had pushed it down. The list goes on. But why is this Gordon Murray so important, and why talk so much about him? Well, this is because Gordon Murray joined McLaren in 1984 and became an integral part of their BPR racing team when the show first opened in 1994. If you thought his presence on the McLaren team was just a fluke, Thomas Bisher of the McLaren team won the tournament in 1995, riding past the finish line on the back of the magnificent F1 GTR. As if that wasn't a big enough statement, McLaren went on to dominate the podium with 12 straight wins in 12 races, creating the impression that the McLarens were in a competition among themselves and that no other team was worthy enough to eat at their table. The psychological and mechanical warfare of meeting an F1 GTR on the track was a hard nut for every team participating in the BPR championship. From the Ferrari, even to Dodge, Gordon Murray had established himself and his artfully designed cars as the platinum standard to beat at the BPR. The only car that managed to shake the confidence of the McLaren team was the Porsche 911 GT1, a true performer with a solid pedigree, having won the 1962 Le Mans Group C race. It began competing late in the 1996 BPR championship, but when it did, no one could beat it. After watching a few more races where their own cars could barely get a toehold, Mercedes Benz decided they'd seen enough. They wanted the throne and the crown for themselves.
Pierre-Henri Raphael receiving the congratulations, but on top of the pile.
But the problem was, the present crop of cars representing the Stuttgart brand wasn't up to the task, and developing a new GT supercar from the ground up isn't easy or quick. Even more absurd was the conditions under which they were required to work. The men occupying the C-level suites at Mercedes told the engineers they had only the off-season to come up with a race-ready sports car that could give Gordon Murray and his cars a run for their money. The off-season presented an impossible time frame of just over 4 months, 128 days to create a miracle. And so it began. The team at AMG rolled up their sleeves and got to work with much familiar humanity's race against time. Fueled by an unlimited budget and a nearly narcissistic belief that they could do anything, they set about their mission with a plan. A plan so bizarre, it would have made Carl Benz turn over in his grave. Their mission was to take the cars of their nemesis and make it better. It would have been illegal if it wasn't such a brilliant idea and turned out with such undeniable results. They started by purchasing a McLaren F1 GTR chassis 11R and taking it apart. They replaced the old body with a new outer shell, took out every non-essentials, basically making it lighter by degrees, and then swapped their own engine into it. It was a test mule that was not only priceless, but pushed forward the GTR's evolution by leaps and bounds. The end result was one of the fastest McLarens ever built, but still, they weren't satisfied. They turned their focus to the Porsche 911 GT1, taking notes of its proportions and body lines. Then they slapped the headlights, grille and taillights of the CLK on it, nuanced the aerodynamics with the help of a napkin, some clay and a computer, and sent the designs to Lola Composites, who were able to create a brand new, bona fide Mercedes Benz chassis in record time. To set the ball rolling, AMG took the M120 engine, added a ton of titanium, and upped the compression ratio. The result was a low-slung, terrifying ultra-performance car that reverberated with the power of 600 horses when the engine was turned over. The high-pitched whine of the 12 cylinders thundering together in cacophonous harmony is the stuff of nightmares, capable of waking up an entire neighborhood even in idle. Mated to a 6-speed sequential gearbox and body dimensions rivaling a Hummer one, it could hit 60 in under 4 seconds and coast up to 200 miles an hour without breaking a sweat. It was German engineering at its finest. Even more amazing, the AMG team of engineers went on to produce not one but 2 race-ready CLK GTRs for the opening season of '97. During the first trial run in a real race, the insanely powerful machine became a victim of its own success, suffering brake failures due to the sudden spike in output power. Unsurprisingly, the Mclaren F1 swept the podium. Despite its rough beginnings, the CLK GTR would soon show off to the world its newly acquired superpowers. Their first podium came a month after their failures in Hockenheim. The '97 season would turn out to be a fiercely contended one, with McLaren bedazzling the Mercedes team with their pace and its experienced drivers who had gotten too used to the taste of winning. But in spite of the wins by McLaren, there was a distinct change around Germany when the AMG Mercedes team rolled out CLK GTRs onto the pit on the 4 hours of Nürburgring. And so it was realized Mercedes Benz had finally cracked the code.